sports in Hastings, Nebraska. We present Huddle Up, a great way to start your day with all the news, weather, and sports you need, interesting interviews, and friendly conversation from two guys that go together like Scooby and Shaggy, Mike Will and Tyson Havronic.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Huddle Up here on Extreme Sports, and welcome to a Friday, the 17th day of April for 2026. Mike Will, Tyson Havronic with you as we get you up and get you rolling here on a Friday morning. I'm in Kansas City today, getting ready for our big NASCAR weekend. Tyson back in the Hastings studios here today. Lots to talk about on the show here today. Of course, the Nebraska baseball team, they're going to be in action today as the Huskers take on USC. That's going to be a tough three-game series for the Huskers in Lincoln. The Nebraska softball team, they're playing up in Minneapolis against the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. The Big Ten Conference announced yesterday a brand new conference sort of tournament that they're going to be playing in November. They're going to be playing this at the Fishers Event Center, the home of the Major League Volleyball's Indy Ignite. We'll talk about that on the show here today. Hastings College baseball and softball teams in action this weekend. The Hastings High and Adams Central baseball teams, they were in action yesterday. We'll have the results. This is Friday. That means that Jim Sliker from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network is going to join us at the bottom of the hour today. Also, Keith Wolf, who's the NASCAR Director of Competition, Engineer, and Crew Chief for Alpha Prime Racing, is going to join us here in just a couple of minutes as we kind of preview where I'm at in Kansas City this weekend for the NASCAR event. So, going to have a lot on the show here today as we welcome in Tyson Havronic from the Western Studios. Hopefully it's a little bit better back home than it is here in Kansas City today. Very windy conditions today in KC, and they expect to have some severe weather later on today. So that's what we've got to look forward to here today. What about at home?
Yeah, you picked out a great weekend to head down to KC. Super windy back here at the home front. It's like mid-50s outside. But the winds are gusting out of the north at like 36 miles per hour, which isn't great because I started some lawn care operations yesterday. And I was going to fertilize today, and then we got to water the fertilizer down. There's no way I'm going to be able to water the fertilizer down today. The wind's blowing 50 miles an hour, so we'll have to punt. We'll have to punt for some other day, but the lawn looks immaculate compared to what you saw the other day.
Yeah, I've hired a little help here.
I see that. You got a co-pilot today.
Yeah, I've got a co-pilot helping me on the ship today. Little grandson, Riken, is spending the weekend with us here in the KC. So he wanted to be on the show and figure out how we did the show from this aspect on this end. He always listens to it, on his way to school, but he wanted to see how we pull this thing off here for the live portion of this thing. So he's joining us here today.
It's got the headset on. He can talk if he wants. He's more of an expert on things than we are, at least in terms of predictions. Of course, that going back to the bracket challenge. Congratulations, Riken, on the bracket challenge success, and hope you have a fun weekend of NASCAR racing, buddy.
Thank you.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Who's your pick? Obviously, Danny is our pick here in this camp.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Hamlin's kind of our pick here. What is this? Is this a goose or what is this? Let's get this picture. Let's get this in here.
This is Gutru the goose.
Yeah, this is our new mascot. I'm gonna show you here briefly on our camera. This is our new mascot. If I can get this in here, this is our new mascot that we've got here in our campground.
Okay.
Here he is. Yeah, I'm not sure where that thing came from, but. That's our new mascot in our camp here today.
Oh, it looks great.
Yeah. Jeez.
It's got the racing flag scarf. He looks like he needs a little bit more clothes. He's shivering in the wind, but other than that,
Saturday, just like at home, it's gonna be cold here. They're talking like lows on Saturday night into Sunday morning, like in the upper 20s or lower 30s. So we're talking about maybe flipping on the furnace. So anyway, what's going on? Let's talk about that. The Big Ten news yesterday. I knew this was probably coming. They've been talking about this conference tournament for a couple of years now, and they're going to finally put it together. They're going to play. I'm not familiar with the Fishers Event Center, the home of Major League's volleyball's Indy Ignite. I assume it's a nice facility, but anyway, the top 15 teams in the regular season standings will qualify for this new volleyball postseason tournament. In order to make room for this thing, they're going to cut the regular season schedule down from 20 games down to 17 matches. It's going to be a single round-robin format to account for the tournament, so we won't play teams twice anymore during the regular season. It'll be just a one game apiece in the conference, and then we'll end the year with this the top 15 teams going into this postseason tournament. I like the idea.
I love it. The tournament bracket's a little screwy, but as is most things with the Big Ten, and you're trying to squeeze an odd number of teams into an even number bracket, and square peg round hole kind of deal for the tournament. So the bracket structure is a mess, but I like the overall intention here. And that overall intention is, hey, let's not screw a team over for just the luck of the draw. I mean, the way the schedule was set up, I mean, you're not going to play everybody in the Big Ten twice in your conference season, but you are going to get a rollover of like two or three games in there, and then so why penalize, like, for instance, in Iowa to have to play Nebraska twice or Penn State twice? You don't want to play those blue bloods in the Big Ten two different times on a home and an away situation. So I love the one shot. Everybody goes through round robin in the conference regular season, and then we'll dust it off in the tournament. And I think the tournament will create some intrigue and some excitement, not only in the Nebraska scene, but on the national standpoint as well. When you have some of those top dogs in volleyball year after year after year, your Penn State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, USC, duking it out in the semifinals, it's going to be a mini national tournament. I will say the Fisher Price Center, or whatever the hell we're going in Indiana, I think they kind of got a little bit of a late jump on the Big Ten volleyball tournament and probably didn't secure the biggest venue. Maybe some of the other venues were occupied with things, but the venue is a little small. But it should create for a raucous atmosphere and nonetheless be good TV viewing. So a step in the right direction, I think, for Big Ten volleyball is getting this conference tournament up and going.
November 20th through the 25th will be the dates for the Big Ten Conference volleyball tournament, at least this inaugural year. So that's something to look forward to. Then the one other note before we get to our first interview today, the Nebraska baseball team. This is a big series. I did some checking this morning in the dark here in Kansas City when I got things started here. I didn't do my prep work inside the RV because we were kind of full in the RV, so I went outdoors today and by candlelight almost. I did my prep work. The Nebraska baseball team playing USC this weekend. Yep. Trojans, they're pretty good. They're 30-8 on the season. They're 13-5 in the conference. Nebraska is at 28-9. They're 12-3 in the league. They're going to play 3 games this weekend. Tonight's game gets underway at 6. Last year, out in California, USC beat Nebraska in 2 out of 3 games. So this will be a tough weekend series, but I think a good one between the Trojans and the Huskers this weekend.
I'm with you. We had a shot against Kansas and Oregon over the course of the last couple baseball games, and couldn't take 2 or 3 from the Ducks, and lost that midweek series. Got back on the right track with that win against Creighton, and you fall out of the top 25. All you need to do is put a little pep in this step, is pick up a nice 3-game series victory against a top 25 opponent, and I think Nebraska will be right there. I think we'll be competitive. It should be a battle.
All right, coming up on the show today, of course, Jim Slacker, our horse racing expert, is going to join us down at the bottom of the hour at 7:30 to talk about the ponies at Fauner Park and what's ahead for some prep races for the Kentucky Derby coming up this weekend. I am in Kansas City today getting ready for the NASCAR weekend. We got qualifying and we've got practice today for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. That is coming up later on today and tonight, and then we'll have more racing action for you and qualifying on Saturday. We'll have the Cup Series race, of course, on Sunday. Had a chance to talk with Keith Wolf. He's the NASCAR Director of Competition, Engineer, and Crew Chief for Alpha Prime Racing. That's a part of the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. He's in the air right now, heading from Pennsylvania to Kansas City. So I had a chance to talk with him briefly before he headed out to Kansas City here today. As we talked with Keith Wolf here this morning on Huddle Up on Extreme Sports. All right, going to talk some racing on Huddle Up here this morning. The NASCAR guys are running down in Kansas City this weekend. Yeah, talk to Keith Wolf today. He's the NASCAR Director of Competition, Engineer, and Crew Chief for the Alpha Prime Racing Team, part of the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Keith, thanks for spending a couple of minutes for us today.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Doing well. Actually, we met Keith for the first time several years ago. My grandson actually ran into you at the Hooters restaurant down in Daytona Beach, Florida, Keith. And anytime we meet a guy from Hooters, you got to be an all right guy.
Yeah, it was an interesting meet because I had sat down, I think, with my spotter at the time, and it was. I don't think it was too late, but it was relatively late for people being out, and I just seen this kid just had all these NASCAR matchboxes, and he just running around. And I was like, I got to know who this kid is. And that's where it really all started. He was just a little guy back then, right? And I just had to know what his passion was for racing at that young.
Yeah, so we've gotten together several times since at various tracks. Talk about your role, kind of in a different role this year, the NASCAR Director of Competition, Engineer, and a Crew Chief for the Alpha Prime Racing Team. What's that all mean? What's your responsibilities?
Yeah, so, in the previous years, I worked with Alpha Prime as a Crew Chief strictly. Whether it would be the 4-car, the 43 at one time, or the 45. So me and Tommy had talked in the off season, and the guys we had coming in, since I'm based in Pennsylvania now, we thought it would be a better fit if we had 2 in-house crew chiefs at the shop there in Mooresville, North Carolina. And then I would kind of head out some of the business side of it, as well as strategic planning for setups and such between the 2 crew chiefs. And I kind of lean towards the 45 team this year to help out as a veteran, as they are a young team with a rookie driver. So I spend, I'd say 70% of my time with the 45 guys and LeVar Scott, training, coaching, and just working with that young team and getting everybody up to speed.
Yeah, we'll talk about those guys in just a little bit. For the guys that don't know a lot about racing, we might have some green guys not really involved with NASCAR racing listening to the show today. What's the difference between like the Cup Series and the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars? What's the biggest difference?
Okay, the O'Reilly Series car now is the Cup car of about 10 years ago. For those not knowing the difference, as far as we used to have the same cars 10 years ago and before. We would run the same cars, but we would run a 105-inch wheelbase. They would run a 110 wheelbase. And at one point, we could run 110, 105s. But to fast forward to now, there is a significant difference in these cars, right? So the O'Reilly cars are, let's call it an old school race car. It's got a 9-inch rear. It's carbureted. A full steel tube chassis, all one piece, 1 3/4. Where now you have the new Cup car, which is The underbody is like let's say an Indy car. It's fully panned out. It's got a diffuser in the rear. It has independent suspension similar to a ISMA car. The Cup car also does not run a 9-inch rear end. It runs a transaxle gear now. So that's your transmission, rear end, all in one. And it has sequential shifting like a ISMA car or maybe a TA car. So you're just pushing the lever forward and back to shift gears. So there's a huge difference there. Even with the engine package, the Cup car is now fuel injected and, a lot of dialing in with computers and ECUs, a lot more modern. The Cup car is a lot more modern per se.
All right, you're involved with 2 cars there for the Alpha Prime Racing Team. Most notably, you mentioned the LeVar Scott. Brendan Poole is the other guy on your racing team. Talk about those 2 guys. How's the season going for them?
Yeah, I mean, they're both doing excellent, right? We got a veteran on one side. We have a rookie on the other side who's very talented. Brennan's definitely a veteran, right? Which helps LeVar a lot. So Brennan's raced in the Cup side. He's raced, everything known to man. And, he just has that veteran presence and awareness, and he's been to every track, right? So his fire-off speed is great. And he can also help coach LeVar and get him up to speed quick because we don't really have testing anymore. Everything is sim and kind of, computer work. So, but to say in a whole, the veteran helps out the rookie. LeVar has great talent. Let me just put that out there. It's easier to reel a driver in who has natural speed than to try to get them to go faster, right? And learn more. So the fortunate side of it is LeVar has raw speed. I think he's got talent, and he's just simply a rookie. Needs some seat time, needs some veterans on his side to teach him, and that's what we're there for.
Yeah, we're talking with Keith Wolf. We're going to be racing with these guys down in Kansas City beginning tomorrow. You guys are flying in like you're going to be in the air here soon, arriving in Kansas City. You get off the plane, you go right to work. You've got qualifying. You've got a track practice yet tonight before your race is tomorrow. So you're going to hit the ground and ready to work as soon as you get on the ground in Kansas City.
That's correct. I will dress for work before I get on the plane, so I'm dressed when I get there. We'll first go through technical inspection, which is always the first feat of the weekend, getting past NASCAR's strict policies, procedures, and rules. And so as long as we can get past tech and in a reasonable amount of time, we'll be well prepared for practice and qualifying. Tech's always the questionable part because as a director of competition or a crew chief, you're trying to push the limits, right? So you're trying to push every rule you can to maximize the speed of your race car. Sometimes you're a little bit outside the box. You might have to take another trip through, but, that's all in the little details.
Keith, I know in the past the Truck Series has run with the Cup Series here in Kansas City. You guys are running this year. Have you guys run Kansas City at all, or are you familiar with this track?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we were there last year. I've been there for years, whether it be Trucks, Cup, or, O'Reilly now. We're very familiar. I think 2020, it's 2026, 2024, we had a lot of raw speed at Alpha Prime. The last year, we were just off a touch. We were trying some new things, and we feel like we need to kind of go back to what we were running before and, kind of learn, per se, what not to do. And you have these challenges on a smaller budgeted team like ourselves, right? We don't have the same alliances with, let's say, Hendrick or RCR to get data that we can use that we're not available to. So we got to do a little more engineering, a little more thought process to get to where these guys are running.
As far as Kansas City specifically, what's the biggest challenge about running this track?
Kansas City, the problem with Kansas City is it changes so much from year to year, right? I think the weather of the area The track seems to get either bumpier. It's getting worn out. So it's almost like a new track every time you show up. So what you think worked in the spring or fall of last year, you hit the track and you're kind of confused, like this isn't working at all, right? So you have to make quick adjustments, quick calculated adjustments, to catch up with the track service and what it did from the previous year to this year.
Yeah, there are some tracks where you see some of the Cup Series drivers running in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series races. What's your feeling on that? Are you all right with seeing some of those named guys that come down and run to you guys in the O'Reilly Series?
I am okay. I also work for Live Fast Motorsports as an engineer, a part-time Cup team, and I have for years. And I worked for BJ and O'Reilly years before. I feel I want to race with the best, right? There's people out there that think the polar opposite of I do. But if I'm going to race and my goal is, let's say my goal as a driver would be to race the Cup Series one day, then why shouldn't we race against them? I think it's fair. I think we should be the only ones allowed to collect points, but I think it's fair for them to come out and race alongside of us. I don't think there should be a divide between I'm a Cup Series driver or I'm a Truck Series driver. I don't think everybody's trying to get to the same place. So I think it's fair.
Like I said, you got some experience up on the Cup level. BJ McLeod, I think you've had some experience with Catherine Legg as well. A British driver that's trying to get some experience in NASCAR. She's run IndyCar and IMSA and some other series. Talk about working with those two individuals, BJ and Catherine Legg.
Yeah. I would say they have the same passion as a race car driver. I was thoroughly impressed with Catherine's Leggy's performance. I knew she was a great IndyCar driver, right? I knew she was a great ISMA car driver, but these are totally different animals. Smaller tire, more weight, less downforce. And, when you're so used to, as a driver with the polar opposite, let's say an Indy car with a lot of downforce, big tire, different types of tire compounds, I think it's a big challenge to go from one to the other. But I think her skill, she's a veteran. It really showed up at places like Chicagoland and Indy. We qualified horrible at Indy, and she drove through the pack, up into the teens, and just drove by cars. Like it was totally impressive.
I know you concentrated a lot on the guys that you have direct control over, but is there a racing team? Is there a couple individuals on the Cup Series that you really pay a lot of attention to or hang out with and do a lot of good things with?
Yeah, I mean, there are some. Some I'll choose the name and some I won't. Some are friends, and some people might take that as, hey, an advantage that you're friends with this person or that person. So some of that I'll keep private. But, going through my career, and we're going to date this, right? So the first person that ever gave me a shot is Chuck Bound when he ran for Hendrick back in the, 90s. And him and his father actually taught me how to hang bodies, do geometry with string, going back that far in my career. As far as today, and me and BJ are really close still. We worked together for the past 15 years, and that's more of a family team rather than, outside employees. Like it's very loyal, and that's how I ended up at Alpha Prime. I used to crew chief for Tommy Joe Martins and Cesar Baccarelli, which are the owners of Alpha Prime. So, I stay within my family, whether it's hanging out with Tommy or BJ or some of the guys. Like, I'm the veteran now, so I feel like my team's like 20-some years old, and I just can't keep up, right?
All right, now on your Facebook page, you also list you're a hobby farmer. Talk about this. You're also a farmer?
Yeah, I when I say hobby farmer, I play, right? I've got like 25 egg-laying chickens. I raise birds for meat. I raise a couple pigs a year, just for the family to eat. As a kid, I grew up in the country, but I didn't grow up on a farm. But my favorite thing to do was I had like these Matchbox tractors and I'd always play farm as a little kid out back, and I'd build this pond. And it's kind of a childhood thing, to be honest. I always wanted a little piece to call home. And I'm just creating this kind of like little fantasy land, I think, of when I was a kid, with all these animals around. I just put a duck pond in the other day. I got 5 young ducklings, and it's a really therapeutic from the high stress levels of racing, or else I own a freight logistics business here in Pennsylvania. So it's a calming storm is what it is.
All right. Keith Wolf again, the NASCAR Director of Competition, Engineer, and Crew Chief for the Alpha Prime Racing Team. They're going to be in Kansas City this weekend for our big NASCAR weekend. I know you got a plane to catch here, Keith, in just a few minutes. Thanks for spending some time with us on the show today. I know we'll get together sometime this weekend. We've got the plate of brownies for you and everything else that you enjoy when you come over to our campsite. So we've got you handled here this weekend, all right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you remembered our last experience together, but I think I have a little redemption of winning some cornhole, or maybe actually getting beat this year, right?
We got the cornhole ready. We've got the brownies, and like we said, some beverages to go with it. So we look forward to seeing you sometime this weekend.
Perfect. I appreciate everything, Mike. I appreciate your family, and just want to thank you all for everything.
It's good stuff. I think we lost you, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm sure. My partner had to say, "Don't forget to turn up your microphone."
Thank God we got Riken on board. We got Jim Sliker. He's standing by, so let's go ahead and dive into the news break here this morning here on Huddle Up.
All right, it's 7:27. Good morning.
It's time for a morning news update on Extreme Sports.
Start off at the state capitol, where Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen has vetoed a bill he says would have increased property taxes by about $40 million a year. The measure would have also allowed local governments to expand certain emergency services and exceed tax limits to pay for them. Pillen says the state is already facing a property tax crisis and urged lawmakers to sustain his veto. Supporters of the bill argue it was needed to properly fund emergency response efforts. Lawmakers could still attempt an override as the session wraps up. Meanwhile, a grass fire southeast of Sumner reignited yesterday evening, prompting a large emergency response and temporary evacuations. Officials say the fire, believed to have started from a lightning strike earlier in the week, flared back up last evening, spreading toward Highway 40. Multiple fire departments responding, and residents in the area were urged to evacuate as a precaution. The fire has burned an estimated 70 to 100 acres. Crews will continue to work to contain the blaze as dry, windy conditions keep the fire danger high. It's 7:28. We'll head back over to the Kansas City Motorsports Park Studios. That is a mouthful. Mike Will, what's going on in sports?
Well, Cohen Rader had 4 hits and drove in 5 runs yesterday to lead Adams Central to a 21-3 win over Palmyra. The Patriots hammered out 16 base hits in a 5-inning ball game. Gus Hemberger was the winning pitcher. Adams Central now 9-6 in the season. They will host Lincoln Lutheran and Crete in a triangular today out of the Smith Complex. Hastings High beat Blair by the score of 6-5 yesterday in one of the consolation games of the Eastern Midlands Conference tournament. Owen Ablett had 1 hit and 2 RBIs for the Tigers. Ablett also picked up the win on the mound. Hastings is now 4-9 on the season. They'll play Blair on Saturday. Other action from yesterday: Lincoln Lutheran beat Central City Centura by the score of 7-6, and Seward beat York by the score of 12-8. That's a check in your sports headlines at 7:29 on Extreme Sports.
It's time for a morning weather update on Extreme Sports with Chief Meteorologist Tim Jones.
A cold front is pushing through the south central part of the state, and that'll knock our temperatures down on this Friday. We've already had our highs overnight, so we expect temperatures to drop throughout the day. And also partly sunny skies and a little breezy with wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour as well. Overnight tonight, there's a freeze watch in place. That's because we're going to dip down to the upper 20s. Just a slight chance for a little rain-snow mix, but no accumulations expected. Sunny and 59 on Saturday.
As we wake up, get going this morning, we've got west winds at 16. Clear skies, it is 62 in Hastings at Extreme Sports.
Hi guys, this is Justin Consrick with Adam Marshall Land and Auction. Just want to talk to you about how we do things. I talk to farmers every day. A lot of guys just want a simple, honest way to sell equipment. That's why I work with Adam Marshall Land and Auction. We know the equipment, we know the buyers. We run real auctions with no buyer's fees, which brings in more bidders and stronger results. From one machine to the full lineup, we handle marketing, the details, the sales start to finish. We're just real people with real auctions, real results. If you're thinking about auctioning equipment, reach out and give me a call at 308-991-5429.
I'm John Butler, funeral director and owner at Livingston Butler Vollen Funeral Home and Cremation Center in Hastings.
And I'm Nikki Butler, the advanced funeral planning specialist. Whether you choose a traditional service, cremation, or a unique memorial service, our experienced staff is here to help guide you through every step. Visit us at lbvfh.com to learn more about our services and how we can support you.
Livingston Butler Vollen Funeral Home and Cremation Center. We are here when your need is greatest.
Hamilton has been providing IT solutions for businesses across the state of Nebraska for more than 3 decades. We know that Nebraska businesses are a driving force of support for the communities in which we live and work. We keep them connected and protected by delivering cybersecurity, hosted phones, and managed IT. We are grateful to be part of our Nebraska communities and to support their technology needs.
More information at Hamilton.
Get ready for the ultimate trivia experience with Extreme Sports Trivia. Play from anywhere at home, on the go, or at your favorite bar or restaurant. Compete live against players from all over in real time, answering questions across categories like sports, pop culture, Marvel, and more. Want to see how you stack up? Track your progress with live leaderboard and aim for the top spot. It's free, fun, and super easy to play. So what are you waiting for? Sign up today at extremesports.com trivia and start playing now. And keep an eye out. We're coming soon to a bar or restaurant near you.
All right, Mike Will, Tyson O'Brien, and my little grandson, Bracken Rosno. We're hanging out in the Kansas City today, getting ready for our NASCAR weekend. Of course, we've got some Hastings College baseball coming your way this weekend. Doubleheaders in both Saturday and Sunday. Hastings against Doane, action from the Great Plains Athletic Conference. So 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. Action gets underway on Saturday until 1 o'clock on there with a pregame at 12:45. Action gets underway at noon on Sunday with the pregame show at 11:45. Tyson will have the play-by-play for you this weekend. Hastings College and Doane coming up on Extreme Sports. 7:34. It's a Friday, and you know what that means.
They're at the post. Now they're moving into the gate.
And down the stretch they come in the Kentucky Derby, and Barbaro is running away. It's Edgar Prado aboard, and Barbaro is going to win this Derby by 6 lengths. Blue Best had second. From far back, Steppenwolf came on to be third.
All right, it's Friday, and once again, we like to bring in Jim Sliker from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network to join us here this morning. Good morning, Jimbo. What's happening?
Oh, morning, guys. I kind of wish I was down in Kansas City with you guys trying to blow away for these races.
I'll tell you what, we're just about ready to get the coffee going this morning. Who's in charge of breakfast today, anyway? We see all these cookers sitting around and no smoke rising from the cookers yet. I suppose when I get done with the show today, Riken and I will have to move into our chef's portion of this little excursion and get to breakfast stirred up here today.
Oh, don't do that. Just run around to everybody else's, tell them that you're a judge and you're just doing taste testings for their breakfast and trying to decide who has the best one.
We always like to bring in Jimmy on Friday to talk about the races up at Fauner Park in Grand Island and beyond. Another racing card today up at Fauner. Jimmy, what pops up today?
Oh, Fauner's got 4 really good competitive races to start the day out. I really like a few of them. We've got some Nebraska bred races. We've got a nice allowance sprint. Like I said, it's going to be very competitive, and you aren't going to want to get out there late. Them first 4 races are going to be really good, and then we'll move into tomorrow where we've got the Pepsi Stakes, 10 races on tap, and there's a lot of excitement going on on the national scene from Oaklawn Park with the Oaklawn Handicap that we're going to see last year's Horse of the Year, Sovereignty, coming back after a long layoff and see if he can protect his crown. So it's an exciting week of racing. We've only got 3 weeks left at Fauner Park. Of course, next week we're going to be moving into the $100,000 Gus Fauner Bosselman mile and a 16th there. That's going to be an exciting race too. There was 27 nominations coming in for that race, some coming in off the national scene. So exciting few days of races over the next couple weeks.
Again, Jim Sliker from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network joining us here this morning as we continue on Huddle Up, going from horsepower to more horsepower. As far as the week is concerned and the weekend is setting up, let's dive into it, Jim. Some breaking news out of Fauner Park to start off the week with trainer David Anderson receiving a 1-year suspension after the syringe and the fines from earlier this season. Now a 1-year suspension. Obviously, that shakes up when you talk the stakes races, the Bosselman Stakes coming up with the nominations for that. No Anderson horses within those fields. How does that shake up the weekend card?
It's really not going to change anything. As far as trainer of record, no, David Anderson will not be listed as trainer anymore. Let's probably be real about this. Dave's got his hand in it yet from a distance, but it's still the same people in the barn working with those horses. A few of them might have changed hands and went to different trainers, but it's not going to affect things. It's kind of a sad deal what's happened. It's been exposed now, and like I said, I guess it's something that's going to have to be dealt with. There'll be another Racing Commission meeting on that in June 12th, I believe, to see if he is further suspended, but hopefully it cleans things up a little bit and we get moving on from there.
All right, let's talk about the card at Fauner Park here today, Jimmy. Right off the bat, you got your best bet. The Extreme Sports best bet of the day is in race number 1 with Trista. Tell me about Trista.
Well, this race doesn't have much speed in it, so that's where I look at Trista. She should be able to get out, set a pretty easy lead in that race, and set the pace. And hopefully today she has something left to finish. Last time she come up short, but that was a good tightener for her. And so being left alone on the lead, unless something changes and something really perks up here and goes out with her, I think Trista should be a pretty easy winner. So I always like starting out with my best bet of the day.
Again, to stay on Friday's card here, I want to get your thoughts on one of the races, I think midway through, a really competitive field. It's the 4th race. I have been in love this season with Hurricane Lassie. Just a lot of speed from that horse. But taking a look at the field, is there going to be contenders that might have a chance for an upset here in the fourth?
Well, I think if we're looking at an upset in there's a couple of them. You look at one coming out of the Mark Hibden Bond Pondicherry. It's run very well this year. Hasn't always got the win, but that horse has a lot of speed. And, of course, coming from the inside, we're going to see a horse that I think can run with her. It's going to be tough. I'm hoping that she can overcome it. But the one hole's tough in a 4-furlong race, but Honey from the South has a lot of speed. This year's an older mare, but I'm not counting her completely out. Hurricane Lassie, it's going to be really tough, like I said, being out there in the center of the track where it's been probably the best running lately. And so, yeah, that's a tough race. I do think, though, Honey from the South is going to push her, but in the end, either one of those could win it.
All right, again, talking with Jim Slacker from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network, looking at the horse races today at Fauner Park in Grand Island. Your long shot of the day, Jimmy, down here in race number 8, Hella Bella.
Yeah, we're kind of bookending things today. The best bet in the first race and the long shot in the last race. But this horse comes in from Houston, where she's been facing a lot better horses down there. Her first start at Fauner Park was okay. Her next start, well, not so good. She seemed to just kind of run in place. But I look for her to, where she's reunited with one of the top jockeys in Alex Berzer, to put it all together today and get the win. And hopefully it's some pretty nice odds.
Jim Slaker again from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network joining us this morning on Huddle Up. You can check out all of the insights and predictions and news relating to Nebraska Thoroughbred horse racing at the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network Facebook group. Let's flip the calendar to Saturday over at Fauner Park. Saturday, of course, highlighted by the Pepsi Stakes in the 9th race. And the two favorites, I think, Jimmy, is kind of the cycle of my relationships. Goes from forever in love to all of a sudden she's mad. Those are the two favorites. Let's walk through the Pepsi Stakes here.
Well, okay, the Pepsi Stakes is strictly for 3-year-olds. So some things when I looked at this race is a lot of races are written for 3-year-olds and up. Some are written for strictly 3-year-olds. So you have to bear in mind with the handicapping on that, because generally an older horse, a little stronger, a little more mature. But I do like She's Mad. She was a winner last out for Kelly Martinez. She'd been running back east, and before coming to Fauner Park, she did just break her maiden last out. It was a fairly impressive win, fairly easy. She's improved with each start, and I think she stands a good chance here. But I do think this is kind of a wide open race. And then you have Forever in Love coming out of a very hot barn. Joseph Dominguez, he's winning at about 35%. That horse also beat older horses in breaking its maiden, so that one will be tough. And I think one to watch that could upset this field is the one horse Tout. Every race that it's run this year, that one's run against older horses, so it wouldn't surprise me if she come up and stole it. But I do think She's Mad is probably the best of the field here today.
All right, on Saturday, you've got your best bet down here in race number 5. It looks like going with number 1 in Love Pack. We got a lot of love on the show today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was thinking about Tyson. I seen him with a gal last week, and I thought, oh, that was a Love Pack. So that's why we had to go with that one. No, just kidding. That horse. It easily won over many of these same horses last week, and something that some of the forms show, some of them don't. But this horse has an 18-point power rating over any other horse in this field, and 18 points is huge. Generally, anything separated by more than 10 will signify a win. We're all the way up to 18 on this one, so Love Pack looks pretty tough in here, and the industry leaders are all touting that horse.
Jimmy, the other news over the week, nominations come out for next weekend's Bosselman Stakes. Is there, from the nominations that you've seen, kind of a horse that you're throwing in maybe as a potential, should that be selected, potential winner of that Bosselman Stakes?
Well, we won't know who's actually going to enter, but there is some very interesting nominations there. We're going to see last year's winner in there, which will probably come back, Morabino Amade. That horse has done really well on the national scene since winning at Fawner Park last year. But I do think Rubitino Diodoro will bring that horse back. We could also see him bring a horse in called Heroic Move that's been making some noise on the national scene. A local one, we also see Malibu SS coming in for Jerry Gorno. That one was a winner last time out here in the Dowd Mile, so that one looks pretty tough. And maybe Steve Asmussen, one of the top trainer in the nation for number of wins, will ship in Gun Party. So there's some very good runners that potentially could be here. The purse has jumped from $75,000 up to $100,000. That'll make a big difference, and it's pretty exciting. And that'll be running next Saturday. As I said, it's moving on to bigger and better things here. There's a lot of excitement coming up.
Of course, sneaking up on the Kentucky Derby here in a couple of weeks. Jimmy, anything going on this week in preparation for the Derby?
The Kentucky Derby field is pretty much set. There are no more prep races for this. We're just 2 weeks out, and to try to run a race 2 weeks before you're going to go out and run a mile and a quarter is pretty tough. So there are no more prep races. So we've seen the field pretty much set there, and we're going to see the top ones as far as points, Commandment, Further Ado, Renegade, So Happy. These horses are all in preparation now, just doing light workouts, getting ready for that. But on the national scene, a race that is really exciting, like I said, we're going to see the Oakland Handicap with it's a short field. There's only 6 horses in it. That's going to be run Saturday. But we have Horse of the Year Sovereignty coming back. Sovereignty last year was 5 of 6. That horse won the Kentucky Derby, skipped the Preakness, won the Belmont, come back, won the Travers Stakes, and then's been on the sidelines ever since. But a horse that's also in that race is Journalism, that won the Preakness and was runner-up in a couple of those other races. So we're going to see how Sovereignty bounces back after a 10-month layoff and see if he can reestablish himself as Horse of the Year for 2026. So a lot of eyes down in Arkansas this weekend for that race.
Well, the only thing faster than the horses over at Fawner Park is just how fast this season starts and comes to a close. I feel like we just started our horse racing segment, Jimmy, last week, and here we are all of a sudden already getting ready for the finish line with the Derby Day at Churchill Downs just a couple weeks away. But again, Fawner Park racing over the weekend. Lastly, before we let you go, I don't think we snuck in the long shot for Saturday. That coming, where is your handicapping heading for the long shot play on Saturday?
Well, on Saturday, I'm going all the way. We're looking at the very first race, the number 5 horse, Pasadable. It's only had one out this year. He came up short going this same distance. 3 weeks off. He gets a new rider. That ought to be a big significance there. It's a very lightly raced 6-year-old. That one's kind of strange to see a horse that only has like 5 starts as a 6-year-old. But he will not be the favorite in this race because he's got to go up against a horse called Lifelike. Lifelike will probably be a 2-5 favorite, but I do think Pasadable has a chance to get in there and upset him. And if we can get that upset home, I think we could see a good 5 or 6 to 1 odds, and he might only be the second choice in the race as far as the betting public.
All right, Jimmy, thanks for the insight on the ponies this weekend, and hopefully we'll have a profitable weekend. You don't have a pick for us down here in Kansas City, do you?
No, I'm not going to try to pass on any experience to NASCAR. I used to follow that a lot. With all the horse racing stuff going on anymore, and the availability of it, I've kind of switched my gears and follow the horses all across the nation, and looking forward to taking in some of those big races. Maybe we can get you to go to Kentucky with us for the Breeders' Cup, and we'll do a big show from out there.
I'd be willing to do that. I'd be willing. You get that set up for me, all right?
Well, we're going the last week of October. Then 14 races are the most exciting weekend in racing that you'll see, with horses coming in from all over the world. It's a spectacle like you've never seen before. It's one of the best tracks you'll ever see in the nation. Keeneland, beautiful area. And who knows, we can even take a couple days and we can go on a bourbon tour before that.
I like it. I like it. Jimmy, thanks for talking to us. We'll see you again next Friday, all right?
Thanks, guys. We hope next week we're just fanning out $100 bills and making things look good.
All right.
Thanks, Jim.
All right. Jim Sliker from the Nebraska Thoroughbred Racing Network joining us on the show today. Huddle up. And I'm in Kansas City getting ready for the NASCAR weekend this weekend. Tyson is back in the Hastings studios. I know you love this. The NBA tonight, Charlotte.
We had such
Orlando.
a good show going. Oh, the show was going so good.
And I had to throw this damn NBA in. Why do I figure that I've got to throw this in every morning?
Lay it up. Let's go.
Charlotte and Orlando play tonight. Golden State and Phoenix play tonight. The final games of the play-in tournament. And then we get started tomorrow with the first-round playoff series. It'll be Toronto playing at Cleveland, Minnesota at Denver. Atlanta is at the New York Knicks, and Houston will be at the Los Angeles Lakers. So the sun is coming up here in Kansas City today. It's supposed to be warm, and it's supposed to be humid today, and then we're going to have some severe thunderstorms that move through the area tonight. We've got qualifying for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series tonight.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I love that. I love that. You know how many times I've heard that here already. The Cup Series is going to have their qualifying tomorrow, and then they're going to run on Sunday afternoon. So that's what's going on. I'll just show you. This is the guy that we are all cheering for, and he's my odds-on favorite for this week in Denny Hamlin. So Ryken, he'll hang out with Denny this weekend. We'll see a lot of those guys throughout the weekend. Getting you through this Friday morning. It's a 7:52. We'll be right back.
It's time for a morning news update on Extreme Sports.
Start at the state capitol, where Nebraska Governor Jim Pillen has vetoed a bill he says would have increased property taxes by about $40 million a year. Oofta. The measure would have allowed local governments to expand certain emergency services and exceed tax limits to pay for them. Pillen says the state is already facing a property tax crisis and urged lawmakers to sustain his veto. Supporters of the bill argue it was needed to properly fund emergency response efforts. Lawmakers could still attempt an override as the session wraps up. Meanwhile, a grass fire southeast of Sumner has reignited, prompting a large emergency response and temporary evacuations. Officials say the fire, believed to have started from a lightning strike earlier in the week, flared back up yesterday evening, spreading toward Highway 40. Multiple fire departments responded, and residents in the area were urged to evacuate as a precaution. The fire has burned an estimated 70 to 100 acres, and crews will continue to work to contain the blaze as windy conditions keep the fire danger high. It is now 7:54, 6 minutes before 8 o'clock. We'll head back over to the Kansas City's Motorsports Speedway studios with Mike Will.
The Nebraska baseball team will play host to USC this weekend. The Huskers are 28-9 in the season, 12-3 in the league. The Trojans are 30-8. They're 13-5 in the conference. USC beat Nebraska in 2 of 3 games last year out in California. Tonight's game gets underway at 6. The Nebraska softball team will play at Minnesota tonight. Huskers are 33-6 in the season, 14-1 in the conference. The Golden Gophers are 14-27 overall. They're 6-9 in the league. And because of the chance for inclement weather in Minneapolis tonight, the game will actually be an afternoon game today. First game of the series will start at 3 this afternoon. The Big Ten Conference has ushered in a new era of collegiate volleyball this fall with the launch of the inaugural tournament November 20th through the 25th at Fisher's Event Center, the home of Major League Volleyball's Indy Ignite. The top 15 teams in the regular season standings will qualify for the tournament. The Big Ten regular season schedule decreased from 20 to 17 matches in a single round-robin format to account for the end-of-the-season tourney. Hastings College baseball team will host Doane in a 4-game series this weekend at Duncan Field. Doubleheader tomorrow gets underway at 1. We'll have the action on Extreme Sports beginning with a pregame show at 12:45. Hastings College softball team will play at Northwestern today and at Briar Cliff on Saturday. That's a check on your sports headlines on Extreme Sports. It is now 7:56.
It's time for a morning weather update on Extreme Sports with Chief Meteorologist Tim Jones.
A cold front is pushing through the south central part of the state, and that'll knock our temperatures down on this Friday. We've already had our highs overnight, so we expect temperatures to drop throughout the day. And also partly sunny skies and a little breezy with wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour as well. Overnight tonight, there's a freeze watch in place. That's because we're going to dip down to the upper 20s. Just a slight chance for a little rain-snow mix, but no accumulations expected. Sunny and 59 on Saturday.
As you wake up, get going this morning, we've got west winds at 16. Clear skies at 62 in Hastings at Extreme Sports.
Trouble's brewing at Elbow Bend, and somebody's about to get fleeced. This is Mick with Maleta Vista Winery announcing our mystery dinner tickets are now on sale for the Golden Fleecing, Wild West Murder Mystery. So get your tickets at Maleta Vista Winery's events page. Come dressed as your best cowboy or saloon girl garb. Enjoy a great meal, a glass or two of hooch, and help solve the crime before the night's over. But watch your back, buddy. The outlaw might be sitting at your table. The Golden Fleecing Mystery Dinner at Maleta Vista Winery, March 28th, April 18th.
Connet Auto Care is the trusted name in automotive repair and maintenance services in Hastings. We're a gold-certified Napa Auto Care Center. Our ASE-certified technicians have the Blue Seal of Excellence, receive continuous training, and are committed to providing the best service your vehicle can get. Whether it's preventative maintenance, major repairs, or just an oil change, Connet Auto Care is here for you.
When it comes to protecting what matters most, you need a team you can trust. At Jones Group Insurance in Kennesaw, they're committed to helping individuals, families, and businesses plan for today and prepare for tomorrow. From home, auto, and farm insurance to life coverage and retirement planning, the Jones Group takes the time to understand your goals and build a plan that fits your future. Local service, personalized guidance, trusted protection. Call Jones Group Insurance today and experience the difference a hometown team can make.
Looking for the perfect spot before or after the game? Head to Miscue's Sports Bar and Grill in Hastings. Choose from your favorite sandwich or build your own burger or chicken sandwich just the way you like it. Your choice of cheese, sauces, and all your favorite toppings. Craving wings? Choose from over 20 sauces and rubs that bring the flavor every time. Grab an appetizer, catch the game on the big screens, or challenge your friends to a game of pool or darts. There's always something to do. And don't forget the daily lunch specials. Miscue's Sports Bar and Grill, 316 South Elm. Great food, great games, and the perfect hangout in Hastings.
All right, Mike Valentine and Bronick with you. It's a Huddle Up on Extreme Sports for this Friday. Again, we'll have Hastings College baseball coming your way Saturday and Sunday here on Extreme Sports. Action gets underway against the Doane University Tigers tomorrow at 1. Pregame show 12:45 here on Extreme Sports. And then Sunday, same two teams will play beginning at noon on Sunday, 11:45 for the pregame here on Extreme Sports. We're in Kansas City for the NASCAR weekend. The Cup Series will run on the Sunday afternoon. We're going to be traveling on Monday, so just a programming note. No show on Monday because we have to get out of here early, and it's right during the time that we have this show. So I will not be here on Monday, so no show on Monday, and we'll get back together again on Tuesday of next week. So you can have an extra day off this week.
That sounds like bookkeeper's orders, I think. That sounds like a directive from the bookkeeper. We're getting the hell out of here.
Yeah, she had nothing to do with that decision for once. So, anyway, interesting show today. If you'd like to listen to the show again, you can get the podcast. Go to our social media sites, grab the podcast, and listen to, we talked a little NASCAR racing in the first half hour, and Jim Sliker in the second half hour. Speaking of the bookkeeper, she's finally getting up.
Hey!
Yeah, she finally got up. What time is it? 8 o'clock. She's finally rolling out of the RV.
She's going to be ready for breakfast here in a little bit, so you better put your aprons on and get to cooking, boys.
Well, I thought I could go right from the show and right to the breakfast table, but as I look out here, the smoke is not rising from any of the cookers here.
Got to get them started. What is on the breakfast menu?
What's on the menu today? I think we got the traditional bacon and eggs and sausage and hash browns and God, who knows what else. Yeah, we're getting ready.
Gonna walk.
Amber's going around, though. She's going to go on her morning walk and go around the racetrack this morning, so see what's going on over at the racetrack. Reckon who's the pick for the weekend? We hanging on Denny?
Larson or Hamlin?
There we go.
All right.
Hamlin. So
I'll throw him in my NASCAR.
Yeah, put him on your fantasy roster for this weekend, all right?
Riken hasn't let me down yet, so I'll roll with it.
All right, we got some Ross Chastain fans in our
Let's
RV.
go, Busch Light Car people.
Yeah, we got some Ross Chastain people in on our group as well. So anyway, we expect to have a fun weekend. Hope you do too. Survive the weather. It's not going to be really nice either here in Kansas City or back home today. We could see some weather and severe thunderstorms down here. You guys, I think Tim mentioned even a possibility of maybe some snow sometime late tonight.
So stupid.
It is. You go out and get all your fertilizer and get your yard all ready to go, and then Tim drops the S word again.
I can't believe it.
So, all right, enjoy baseball this weekend for us.
Yeah.
Hastings College and Doane. We'll
Big
catch
series.
everybody back here again on Tuesday here on Extreme Sports. Have yourself a great weekend.
You've been listening to Huddle Up on Extreme Sports, Central Nebraska's new home for sports. Join us every weekday morning from 7 until 8 on Extreme Sports.
For you in this